We went all the way to Philly and we tasted 6 different cheesesteaks. We're gonna throw together everything we've learned to make a fantastic cheesesteak for you. I blame it on you guys. 100% your fault. The family and I had a chance to go up to Philly and we took the opportunity. Why? You can't make a cheesesteak in Knoxville, Tennessee, unless you know what a cheesesteak tastes like. An authentic Philly cheesesteak. So, the family loaded up, went to Philly, had a blast. Did a cheesesteak tour of what we called like our kind of like popular ones, right? We talked to taxi cab drivers, we talked to Uber drivers, we talked to people in the lobby, I talked to people at restaurants, all about the cheesesteak in Philly. My number one goal is, being from East Tennessee, how do we make or replicate a cheesesteak from Philly? The number one thing I learned is, obviously we don't add bell peppers to Philly cheesesteaks. However, if you take the word Philly off of it, you can add the bell peppers. My first encounter was at Tony and Nick's. I literally asked the lady at the counter, she did not want to be on camera, I don't blame her, can I add bell peppers to my cheesesteak? Thinking that the whole world is going to crash down. She looked through the mirror and she goes, honey, you can add whatever you want to. There's no shame in the game. If we have it, you can add it on there. I'm like, no, I don't want it. I just want to see if I can add it on there. So she laughed and she goes, you must not be from around here. And I was like, how'd you know? And she goes, your accent. I was like, I thought it was because I ordered bell peppers. So today is all about a cheesesteak. So although you've seen the footage, I think maybe you can disagree. Each spot, no doubt, had its own unique style. The loaf of bread that everybody raves about has that seeded top and bottom with the cornmeal crusting. It's like an Italian hoagie style roll. I couldn't find that anywhere. Besides ordering it online, we went to 4 different grocery stores and I started checking the frozen section of my grocery stores just to make sure we couldn't make something work. Could I make it from scratch? Absolutely. Do I think we need to? Probably not. Because if you go to Pat's and Geno's, they kind of use more like an Americanized bread. I call it Americanized bread, kind of like your standard white bread. So I found that not only do the cheesesteaks differ, so do the bread. We found 3 unique bread styles. I happen to choose the Cooper Sharp cheddar in all my options. The only one that I couldn't get Cooper Sharp cheddar on was Pat's, because he wanted to put the Cheese Whiz on there. That's up to him. That's what they do. I'm not necessarily a provolone guy. Provolone's extremely popular there. We do have provolone today, so I'll be making one of those, paying homage to the Philly cheesesteak, but I'm more of the Cooper Sharp. That goes back to what's available in your region. Without ordering online, we don't get Cooper Sharp cheddar. So when people say that's not a cheesesteak because you didn't add Cooper Sharp cheddar, we got to find the balance of like what we can do and what we can't, right? So this is what we got. I did the best I could with what I could. Murray Sharp Cheddar White. So we're going to slice that up and have that replicate the Cooper Sharp. Will it taste the same? I don't know. Never even tried it. Upgraded the Sharp Provolone. This is not the slice. I understand you guys do that, but I thought if we're going to do it, let's spend just a little bit more money and get a little bit better provolone cheese. We got the onions because every cheesesteak we ordered, we got it with. Star of the show, the ribeye steak. Now, this happens to be a prime grade ribeye because they were actually cheaper than the choice. That's the advantage you guys has as a grocery store consumer. You take the best option possible. That's what we did. I'm not knocking names. You guys can comment below. I did see this with my own eyes. Some of the kitchens were open, some of the kitchens were closed. That's up to obviously the people that own the business. I don't think they're using quality beef, right? They're probably using a lower quality because obviously they're going through volume. I did see one person add oil right on top of the meat while it's on the griddle. Some people chopped it up super fine. Some people kept it like larger, thinly sliced, and there was kind of like a happy medium. It's all about which place you go to, so we got to experience the whole thing. So the quality of beef that you guys get when you make your cheesesteaks at home is going to basically depend on your budget. Last but not least, this is the farthest from the truth of what I wanted, but it's about the only thing I could find that can compare between both the Italian style and the white. I could not find anything remotely close to the authentic style with the what's it called, semolina, and the seeded tops and bottoms. I think it added a crunch. I think it added a nuance. I think it added like a tear. Definitely something that could hold up to all the grease from the cheese and from the steak. It's just something we can't get. If you do this at home and you have a meat slicer, slice your cheeses first, because that way you don't cross-contaminate. You can put multiple flavors or types of cheese on the slicer, and then when you're done, you can just refrigerate it. If you do your meat first and then your cheese goes on, you've cross-contaminated, you can't refrigerate it like that. Definitely not trying to replicate what we saw in Philly. Like I said, some kitchens were open, some were not. So I really don't know how they all did it. Some had sliced onions, some had chopped onions. Some put the onions in the meat and the cheese and mixed it together. We happen to like it like that. Some people made the cheesesteak and then put the grilled onions over top. I didn't find that it distributed the onions as well as what we would like, but they seemed to be a little bit more caramelized, which we liked. And then other ones just kind of like threw them on there and it seemed like they were onion heavy. So no right or wrong, but this is what we're doing. We got the Blackstone heating up. I'm taking all that residual fat from that ribeye. Don't throw it away because it has natural fat. And we're gonna let that ribeye just keep cooking. Use those as a little snack. And as that fat renders, throw our onions down. Good amount of butter. On one of the cheesesteaks I've previously done, somebody just had absolutely aneurysm. The fact that I was chopping my beef up so small, they just thought I murdered it. Well, one of the places we went to, same thing. The funny thing is, they use the same type of spatula. So I made a comment while we wasn't filming. I was like, hey, that spatula is pretty cool. And he goes, yeah, we kind of have our choice. This is what, like, kind of like one of my favorites. And I was like, yeah, me too. Why do you like it? And we both agreed for the same thing. He goes that they chop so much that when you have a sharp edged spatula, it kind of digs into the griddle. Now that's a stainless steel griddle, but it's still the same concept. And he actually said he likes the flexibility. So it really comes down to the personal preference. Keeping the seasoning simple, salt and pepper. We're gonna be making 4 cheesesteaks, 2 provolone, 2 cheddar, and then we got our onions right here where we like them. This is what I'm talking about. Nice, sweet. I like the large chunks. These are a little bit larger than what we had, but I prefer that. So that's what cooking's all about. Cooking what you like. I'm gonna keep them on the griddle. Griddle's on low. For this side, I'm gonna warm this up to medium. I didn't feel like there was a single cheesesteak out there that had a nice crisp to it. We've had some comments say, well, there's no churl on it. There's no caramelization. We didn't see, did you?
Nope.
No, right. And I think if there was any, it's because literally the lines were so long that you would have a mound of meat here. They would move the meat over, they would cook it, add the onions, and then they would start stacking them up. So once you put your buns on there, let's say you had 4 cheesesteaks. You remember my griddle's small. 4 or 6 cheesesteaks. Then by the time they get this one, they put the onions on there. They talk to the person in line. What else you want on it, right? Peppers, this and that. Then it probably was just on the griddle a little bit longer. I think that's an unintended consequence. I actually like it, but I don't think that's how they intended to serve it. Keeping the seasonings basic, salt and pepper. One of the stores, or one of the places we went to, I felt like was a little bit pepper heavy. It could be heavy-handed that day. Maybe it's not traditional. And another restaurant we went to, we didn't think seasoned the meat at all. We never saw.
You could tell that too.
Yeah. And you could see it in front of you being done. So if you think it doesn't taste like it and you didn't see them put on there, and let me show you here. This is not chopping the meat. This is pulling the meat. You see that? It's a pulling method. So it might seem like I'm chopping the meat, and it doesn't matter which utensil you use, right? It's the same idea. You're trying to pull the meat away from each other. So that's what we're going to focus on right now. Going back to slicing the meat, you definitely don't have to go out there and invest in a meat slicer. All the grocery stores, it seems like today, have already pre-sliced shaved ribeye. You can find it frozen, you can find it fresh. If you do decide to slice it by hand, throw a ribeye in the freezer for about 30-45 minutes. It'll firm it up so that way it's a lot easier to slice and you can slice it thinner. But you don't have to shave it thin. But if we're gonna do it the right way, and we already have it, let's do it. Like I mentioned, I like my onions tossed in there, so we're gonna start portioning those out. The next cheesesteak I make, guaranteed, is gonna have those sweet peppers in them. Some had them whole, some had them chopped up, and the one place we had them that was like sliced, I actually kept a little container, and every time I went to the cheesesteak place, I put those peppers on my cheesesteaks.
I was walking around Philly all day with a container of sweet peppers in my purse.
That's how you know we're serious. When you're doing this, you're just trying to guess how big your bun is and then match your meat to your bun, right? So anything that hangs over is not going to fit in there. So that's cheddar, and this is provolone. Now I can say this, one thing we didn't like at all was one of the places did it like this. They put the bun over top of it and they served it and then put onions over top of it. And that was all the cheese you got. I don't think we liked that one at all. It just didn't seem like it was like a cheesesteak. It felt like it was a steak sandwich with cheese. Just let that cheese start melting inside the cheesesteak. And then we're gonna come back and top it off with more cheese. Shape them up. Put the buns right over top, so it's gonna start absorbing that ribeye fat, melting that cheese, steaming the bun. Definitely be careful. We saw one of the guys take a piece of paper, line it like this, and then do it. I'm like, that's a genius idea. I've been burned many times. And if you wanted to, like we like it, top it off with just a little bit more onion.
Golly, that looks...
Now that right there, I don't care if I'm from East Tennessee or not.
That is going to be every bit as good as every one of the sandwiches that we had in Philly.
I agree. It's not the Cooper Sharp. I agree. It's not those fantastic rolls. However, that does not mean that you can't make fantastic cheesesteaks in any part of the country. I'm going to roll it up. Alrighty, this is for all the marbles. So this is a provolone, and these are two cheddars. So whether you cut it in the package or not, look at the grease in the bag. Not shabby at all. The one thing we did not mention, and the one thing that I can tell you right now, I'm not a Cheese Whiz fan. One thing we've learned is Cheese Whiz out of the container here is super strong. I strongly feel like regardless of what whiz they use, it's diluted. It's not near as strong as what you get out of the jar when you go to the grocery store. I actually didn't think it was that bad. I wouldn't rank it as my favorite, but I think all the anticipation that you guys had mentioned, like how bad it was, it's a tourist trap and don't go there, it wasn't actually that bad. It just wasn't my favorite. So this is provolone. We didn't try a provolone there.
Hot.
Try that sucker right there. Cheese on the inside, cheese on the outside. The bun's actually really good. I actually prefer this bun over one of the worst buns we had. That's a good bun. It ain't a bad bun. Might not be traditional to you guys, but I don't mean it's not a better piece of bread. I don't like it more than I did like the seeded. I thought it had to chew to the Italian, but this is a lot softer. Definitely absorbed the grease. It's a good cheesesteak. It's a fantastic cheesesteak, but I'm not a provolone fan. And I'm sure you're thinking, which one was my favorite? I'll tell you this. To be my very first cheesesteak, Tony and Nick's was fantastic. However, once we got to Angelo's, it was a whole different ballgame. I think Angelo stole the show. The amount of meat on the bread was fantastic. We got there super early. We felt like we did. There was already a 30 to 45 minute wait. Everything was mixing together. They had the good bread. It was just like one of those unique places. The pizza was spot on. The girls liked the pizza. And then for the third one, we liked...
John's roast pork.
Yeah, John roast pork is really good. I thought that was the one that had a little bit more pepper. Like I said, it could be pepper heavy that day. I would pick Pat's at the bottom only because it's the Cheese Whiz style. Like I would prefer a different cheese. But like I said, I didn't feel like it was bad. I just thought other ones were better. And their bread was more commercialized. I didn't think it was like local. Maybe they do make it fresh. I don't know. It just tastes like white bread. And then what was the fourth one? Sonny's. Sonny's was fifth. The way the sliced onions was, I felt like the onions overshadowed the cheesesteak, and I wasn't a big fan of it. And then the second one that
Jim's.
Yeah, Jim's. As much hope I had for Jim's, that was the one that the cheese did not get mixed in. It was just on the bottom of the bun. I thought the cheesesteak was chopped extremely small, and for that, I didn't like it. However, I talked to a lady in there while we're waiting in line for the restroom, and she lives in Delaware, and she comes all the way over to get Jim's because she likes Jim's all more than the others. So just goes to show you my taste buds don't mean crap. It's all about the individual, but I had a blast doing it. I'm excited we had a chance to do it because that's what cooking's all about. So now I can sit on my own 2 feet and say cheesesteaks are for real. It's about what you can get locally, and you got to make the best out of it. That's the one you want right there? Looks puny compared to Angela's.
I know. We needed to put more meat on there. Needed to make 4 ribeyes instead of 2. That's the winner.
I was worried about that sharp cheddar not being as too strong. I was worried about ours being stronger than what the Cooper Sharp was. It's not. It's fantastic. I like the cheddar. One thing we didn't have is like American. Sometimes people put American on there. One thing we won't be doing is putting ketchup on it. Our Uber driver like provolone, mushrooms, and ketchup. And I was like, no, I ain't doing that. Absolutely love this series. I love going to Philly. Fantastic way to do something on the griddle. I'm just glad that we got the experience under the belt to share it with you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, there's a join button down below. It's a membership program. We thank each and every one of you for taking time for doing so. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram. Last but not least, thanks for watching. Don't forget to press the subscribe button. Pound the notification button. Share it with your friends. Peace. We're going to end up in Chi-Town pretty soon. So if you guys want to comment below, we've tried Al's Beef before. Got to be other places you guys can recommend. Comment below so we know.